Hello, gorgeous souls. Welcome to this fabulous little mini webinar. It's appropriate for spooky season on ghosts, deceased souls, and earthbound spirits. Got my little ghost earrings on to celebrate here. So this is a serious topic, but we're also going to take it in a lighthearted way because these are just energies. There's nothing to be afraid of. Yes, ghosts are real. Yes, earthbound spirits are real, and sometimes they can wreak havoc on us. So you need to know a little bit about them, some signs and symptoms of if they're lingering around you or have latched on, and how to clear them. Okay. And for those of you that aren't familiar with, hello, my name is Dr. Heather Hobson of the Starseed Sanctuary. I am a lifelong psychic, intuitive energy healer, quantum alchemist, professional astrologer, and Akashic Records expert. And I've been doing really intense clearings actually for people for a few years now. It's really interesting because I would say since 2020, a lot more people are waking up, right? And they're becoming more aware of different energies that they can't see, different energy disturbances, different entity attachments, psychic attacks, all of those types of things. So while it can be unpleasant dealing with these, more and more people are aware of them and are seeking out the necessary information to be free and clear and to know how to navigate, different energies that are around. So let's get into it. Okay. So, what are ghosts and are they harmful? One of the many, many types of entities that can attach to your energy field, your home, or your land are ghosts, earthbound spirits, deceased souls. Those could be human souls or animal souls, or earthbound spirits. So ghosts are essentially souls. They were human, they were an animal, they had a soul, they were a sentient living being at one point in the earth realm, and they have died, but they have not crossed over. So they're kind of trapped in this realm, right? And they don't cross over for a variety of different reasons. They are very common. Contrary to popular belief, ghosts are real, they're very common, and they can be seen or felt by sensitive souls and mediums. And they do need our energy, our prana, our vital life force to stay here. Most don't intend to harm us. Most of these are not actually that malevolent. They usually don't intend to harm us, don't intend to drain us, but they can to a certain extent. Some of these are very, very low level disturbances to some even more high level disturbances if they're lingering around in your home, on your land, or they have kind of hooked on to your energy field. Contrary to popular belief, they are actually rarely found in graveyards or empty homes. They frequent places where they can attach and get energy from living persons. That's a crowded mall. That's a home that 10 people are living in, right? A music festival, clubs, nightclubs, those are incredibly common places for them because people's energy fields are weaker because they're drinking and using drugs. And they definitely can be more prevalent in those areas. As someone who lived in one of the most haunted cities in America, San Francisco, for 12 years, that has a lot of turn of the 1900s buildings. There's a lot of ghosts. There's a lot of vampire activity there. There's a lot of ghosts. There's a lot of entities. It's also a city on the bay where you can only, if you're going south, leave without having to cross a body of water and go over a bridge, which also makes it more prevalent for entities to hook in there, right? They can't cross bodies of water unless they're latched onto a person. So, ghosts are something I've seen, ghosts are something I've dealt with. There's been numerous different places that I've worked that were super haunted and creepy. Luckily, the apartment that I lived in for 12 years was not. But when I moved out, it was interesting because when I moved out of San Francisco about 4 years ago, the house that I moved into definitely had like a deceased soul in it, and it wasn't scary, it wasn't something that was super malevolent, but I could sense it a lot of the time, and it was very lost. It really needed support crossing over. And we're going to talk a little bit in a few slides on how to do that, how anyone can do that work and support a lost soul that doesn't sometimes even know that they're dead, right? They just happen to be lingering or they're afraid to cross over. Okay. So why are some souls earthbound? really important question. So when we die, many of us cross over successfully. We return to our star homes, our galactic homes, if we're star seeds, if you identify that, or we cross into the other realm, right? On the other side. Some of us return back to source to reunify, but others remain stuck for a variety of reasons, including an accidental death. They didn't know they were dying. It was something maybe sudden, shocking, traumatic, a car accident, something that was violent, even maybe a suicide. Not all who in their lives refuse to cross over. Some are really ready to do that, but some resist crossing over because the shock and the trauma of that, when it's actually said and done, is hard for souls. Fear. That's a very common one. I mean, fear of death is really common. It's something that is always really interesting to me because I've never been afraid of death, but that's something that a lot of clients over the years have come to me for. They're like afraid to die. Maybe they're spiritual, maybe they don't believe in any of that stuff at all, and that's okay. But they're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid to cross over. They're afraid to let go. We know a lot about the other side, about different dimensions. Many of us who have done some of this multidimensional work for years know enough about it to know there is an other side, but our human minds can't fully comprehend what that's going to look like, what that's going to feel like if our consciousness as the avatar that we are in this flesh prison right now is even going to remain. So it can be very scary for people to let go and fully allow their soul to cross over once the body is dead. A wide range of religious beliefs, dogmatic mind control, especially prevents people from crossing over. Well, I don't feel like I'm going to get into heaven. I feel like I was a bad person or I messed up, so I'm going to linger. I don't want to cross over because what if they send me to hell? Things like that. Or what if I have to go into purgatory? Or what if it's like outer darkness, right? There's various terms that different religious belief systems indoctrinate people with, most of which I don't believe are actually true at all. But if it's something that you've been brought up with, if you've been conditioned to believe your entire life, that's really hard to get out of that mindset, especially when you're vulnerable on your deathbed, right? An obsessive love or greed for the material world is another reason why some souls will remain stuck or refuse to cross over. Some simply just don't understand that they've died. That's actually a really common one that I've encountered. They had some type of shocking, sudden, accidental, or traumatic violent death, and they don't even realize they're dead. Then there's others that remain more consciously to ensure the safety of loved ones. That's an especially common one for souls with children that they've left behind, especially young children. They want to make sure their kids are okay. Something happened to them, but like they're not quite ready to like right loosen the reins and cross over because they need to know that whomever they're leaving behind is okay. Um, Sometimes souls also remain stuck or don't cross over because they have a really strong connection to a place, to a person, or an item. And you've probably heard the saying, attachments create suffering. That is true even after we die. So, yes, it's not always bad to have a strong connection to a person, place, or thing, but we want to not be overly attached to the 3D, to the physical earth realm. Sometimes they remain also because there's a strong pull to stay. They have some type of message that they didn't get to deliver. They want to make sure that they can get through to someone before they allow themselves to cross over. There's unfinished business or an unfulfilled mission. They just don't feel like they can cross over. They remain stuck for those reasons as well. And I'm sure there's other reasons too that souls remain stuck or aren't successful in crossing over soon after they die. Some souls, that's recent, they might have been here for a few weeks, a few months, a few years. Some they could have been kind of stuck in this realm for many, many years, decades, even hundreds of years. Okay, so how do ghosts attach? When do they actually become a little more problematic? And again, not all of these circumstances are going to make you vulnerable to encountering ghosts or negative entity attachments. Those are just energies, even if you do encounter them. But did you just move into a new home? I know that happened for me. I had no idea who lived here before me. I had no idea if someone had passed away in this home prior, but there definitely was a lingering spirit. There was a ghost. That's actually occurred for quite a few of my family members, where there's like a lingering energy, a lingering deceased soul that had passed away in the home. They usually are very attached to the home. They usually really loved living there. Or even like their final moments were a little stressful, traumatic, as death often is for people, and they just couldn't let go and cross over. So they remain stuck. So if you've moved into a new home, that could even be like a vacation rental that you're staying in temporarily, you might encounter something like this, or you might, sense something like this is happening there. Did someone just die? Okay. That's not always a bad thing, right? Maybe grandma's lingering around because she wants to make sure you're good, or that the items, the antiques are distributed fairly or whatever. Or maybe she has a message for you, or maybe she just really likes it here. I'm sure she wants to cross over yet. Did you just travel somewhere haunted? It's hilarious because people come to places like San Francisco. New Orleans is another one. I love New Orleans, probably because of all the paranormal activity. I love paranormal stuff. Um, but it's also important we know how to protect ourselves when we go into places like that, because if you're too vulnerable, right? As a lot of those places are really promoting like drinking in the street or partying or going to clubs, like that does make your auric field more vulnerable and susceptible sometimes to something just kind of riding on your coattails home. If you've been engaging in addictions, and I'm not talking like, oh, we had a couple of drinks at dinner, or we shared a bottle of wine at dinner, or oh, we smoked a joint at a party. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking like you're self medicating. You were using drugs or alcohol to cope. You know it's unhealthy, especially if you're in a moderate or severe level of use and you're blacking out, you're forgetting things, you're having detox symptoms. That's something that's really concerning because it does weaken your energy field. It lowers your inhibitions. You're more susceptible significantly when you're engaging in hard substances or heavy alcohol use. So that's something to be really mindful of. Does that mean never drink or never, I don't know, use something recreationally? No. You can do those things responsibly, but harm reduction also includes energy protection. Okay. Do you have a past parallel current life connection to the afterlife? Many of us do. People that work as death doulas, as mediums, as psychics, as shamans, as healers, starseeds, light workers, multidimensional travelers, mystics. The list goes on here. Um, there's a good chance that you are going to be more dialed in to the other side, to those realms, to even noticing or seeing when there is some type of spirit energy happening. And sometimes, if it's one of those lost souls that has a message that needs your help, they will seek you out. They know, like, there's an intuitive sense of, like, maybe this person can help me cross over, or maybe this person can get the message across that I need. As highly sensitive people, as empaths and healers, lost souls flock to us. That also includes souls that are ghosts and deceased. Also, older ghosts that have been there a long time can sometimes be a little tricky to clear, like in a home, in a land. They kind of see it as theirs, especially ones that are like, I know I'm dead. I'm not crossing over. This is my house. I built this house in 1805. I'm not leaving it, right? Those can be a little more tricky to clear because they see it as theirs. But in general, these are definitely things that you can learn how to work with. So, some signs that a ghost may have attached to your home, to your environment, or to your energy field. So, a ghost in your home or energy field is not going to go unnoticed. You're going to feel or sense some type of sign. Okay. It's very rare. It's just, you're never going to know it's there. So, the list includes feeling colder or unpleasant in certain areas or at certain times in the house. And I'm not talking like, oh, it got cold because it's fall and now we need to turn the heater on. I'm talking like there's an eerie coldness. There's an eerie drastic change in temperature in certain areas of the home. Bad luck, feeling stuck, feeling confused, feeling apathetic, especially if that is a big shift from how you normally are and it's been a prolonged experience without any clear reason why. Bad smells, heavy, unbearable energy. Sometimes this can be pleasant smells. It's interesting because a lot of neuropsych research says that olfactory hallucinations are the most common type of hallucination. However, as someone that's well versed in the paranormal and the psychic realms, when you smell something that isn't there, right? Someone's perfume, someone's cologne, that's a really common one for me where it's like, okay, there's some energy here that wants my attention because I'm so sensitive to smell. Spirits and ghosts and other energies sometimes that want your attention, want your support, are going to show up for you in that way. People that are more maybe clairvoyant, they might see like a hazy energy or something like that, right? In the corner. So it could be a bad smell. It could be a smell that's pleasant, but you know it's not physically there. Or yeah, just there's a heavy energy. I'm sure that some of you have experienced that too. Like in Hayes Valley in San Francisco, like sometimes when you walk into, there's a few different buildings there. When you walk in them, it's like I worked in one of them, right there on Goff and Franklin, and it was just like, ugh. When you walked in, it was just like heavy, dense, super old building. I'm sure people have died in there, and they're lingering, right? It just was like, ugh, I didn't love it. Really unpleasant if that's going on in your home too. You will often feel unexplainably fatigued and tired, especially if this ghost is really attached into your energy field, not just lingering somewhere in your home. And that's not linked to any type of physical ailment, right? You might have more common colds, flus, unexplained illnesses. Autoimmune things are really common. Fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic regional pain syndrome, things that are kind of like doctors call like trash can diagnoses. They're real diagnoses, they're real problems people have, but they don't have a medical origin to them necessarily. And you've tried everything else, you're eating healthy, you're doing clean, right, healthy habits. This could be maybe a sign of a ghost or another type of energy distortion or psychic attack. Problems in relationships, continual fights and tension. Um, that can be definitely not necessarily the default, right? This is something that's kind of coming out of nowhere. Again, it's not because the relationship's unhealthy or abusive. It's not because the person is toxic and they're always picking fights with you. It feels like a very different shift from the norm. Continual problems with the home is a really, really common one, especially with water, plumbing, and the electric. Lights flickering, the toilet's always making weird noises. The plumbing is weird. You hear clang, clang, clang sounds a lot of the time. And it's not just the water heaters warming up and cold. It's not that you need a new water heater, or that the plumbing's really old. It seems like there's something else going on, right? Unusual sounds, knocks, footsteps, crying, sometimes tapping or calling your name. Uh, Feeling that you're being watched is a really common one too. Weird marks on the body, sleep paralysis, astral attacks, and nightmares. Those are very serious signs and symptoms. If those are happening for you, that second to last one, take immediate action to clear that energy out of your home and out of your energy field. You deserve to be free and clear of these things. You know, if it's latching into you without your consent, it needs to go. And finally, you might just see a ghost. You might actually see them sometimes, a lost soul or earthbound spirit. So, what do they look like? You know, how would you spot some of these? So, there's a variety of different types of ghosts, you know, or earthbound souls or spirits. So, earthbound spirits generally don't want to cross over. They're lost or wandering. There's residual hauntings or dark, ominous energy. Sometimes they can kind of look like that, like it's just a good kind of a weird, dark, ominous energy in the corner. More benevolent energy, it's not trying to harm you, it's just lingering for whatever reason, could look like spirit orbs. Different colors correspond to different things. That's a whole other webinar. Or nature orbs like elementals. Those are earthbound spirits. They're not necessarily bad. They're not going to harm you. We want to have clear boundaries with them, right? But you could sense them in a home or in the land. So, human souls and animal souls generally look like their human or animal self, but with like a tinted aura, like an antique old timey photo. It's like that's kind of what they look like. It's usually like kind of like beige, white beige. It's like tinted. Um, they may also appear as wisps of light or darker colored orbs, or you might not see them at all. You might just hear them or sense them if you're more clairsentient. Earthbound spirits do not want to cross over, and they might feel or appear a little more hostile. So deceased energy, deceased souls that are like, "This is my house. I'm not leaving. F you." They're gonna appear, or you're gonna sense them as a little more intense or hostile. So, how do you clear ghosts? Okay, so first and foremost, it's super important that you know how to protect, how to clear and shield your own energy. So you can say a simple invocation to start that. Place a triple layer sphere of impenetrable protection around you. Repeat after me. Let's do it together. So I place a triple layer sphere of impenetrable protection around me, casting out and shielding from all harmful energies of all kinds across all dimensions of space, while only allowing in the highest vibrational frequencies of true source, true love. And I now place the multidimensional column of light around me, moving me outside of the synthetic or shadow matrix and unplugging fully and completely from anything and everything that has been siphoning my energy, attached to my energy field, making me feel sick, sad, stuck, or unhealthy in any way. I stand now in my full soul sovereignty, and so it is done. Once you've done that, you can then say out loud or in your mind, I invite you to leave. I'm now opening a one-way portal of light, returning you back to the one true source. This is my home, this is my land. I claim ownership of it. Sometimes I will also say, you're a ghost, you are a deceased soul. It's safe to cross over. You can find the Rainbow Bridge. It's safe to cross over. That's what I did for a couple weeks actually when I first moved into this house, and then the soul dissipated. So it can take a little time, but you want to be assertive but kind. Okay, we don't want to be angry like "f you, get the hell out of here." That's not helpful. And I often will work with the rainbow rays of light or the rainbow flames to move that energy through the house to alchemize it, opening all the windows and doors, moving as I with my hands or visualizing, almost like you would if you're like smudging through the house. But I will move with my hands the rainbow rays of light, the rainbow flames. They're etheric in your mind's eye, gently cleansing and clearing the entire home. Again, I'm now inviting you to leave. Please return back to source in a one-way portal or find the rainbow bridge. It's safe to cross over. If you're not too drained, you can do that. But if you're really drained, like this has been going on a long time, you're exhausted, I don't recommend trying to do any of that. You can consult with a professional medium to do that. But it can be helpful to let them know it's the year 2024 and it's okay to cross over, find the rainbow bridge. That often helps because a lot of like, right, time doesn't work in the same way on the other side. And so they might be like, oh, what? I've been lingering here for 10 years. That's not cool. Um, Special notes here, you may need to clear the land and home or consult a professional medium if it lingers or if you don't feel confident to do this on your own. I know it's kind of a lot to take in, but these are some essential tools that you can start using. And then a little note about ghost animals and deceased pets. Sometimes they are guardian angels to us, they show up for us, but we don't want them to feel like they can cross over too into the afterlife at all. So some special considerations for ghost animals and deceased pets. You could call on Archangel Ariel. That is the healing angel of nature for earth and animals associated with fairies and other nature spirits. And again, if you're not sure, you have kind of like a rabid ghost wolf or something in your house, you could always consult with a trusted medium as well. All right, so that's our webinar here on ghosts. And I want to invite you, if you want to learn more about how to identify and clear entities, ghosts, psychic attacks, energy vampires, and a whole host of other interesting distortions, please check out my Quantum Alchemy course. It's a life-changing course. It's an 8-week certification course. You can sign up and get access to it today if you're interested. There's quite a few different payment plan options, and it's really been helping a lot of people. So it's been wonderful to see. So please check it out below. And if you have any questions, please let me know. All right. Thank you guys for joining me.